surface, shallow to the touch.
I know how to feel. I know that the pace is turning and just on my way.
I'm so excited about this video today because I've been planning to do this to my hair for so long, and today is the day. I mean, I've been practicing, but today is the day that I share with you how to make this mermaid braid that I am utterly obsessed with. And of course, it's in ponytail form where it's out of my face and it gives me a mini facelift, and it can do the same for you. Also, the nice thing about this braid is that it's all the way at the top of your head, even though I feel like I could have made it a little higher than it already is. You don't feel the need to like angle your face in order for your hair to be appreciated. The braid is pulled all the way front and center, ready to go in the spotlight. So if you want to learn how to do this tutorial, if you want to learn how to get this mermaid-esque braid, then go ahead and please keep on watching. You want to start off by putting your hair in a high up there, way on the top of your head ponytail. And since it's all the way on the top of your head, you really want to make sure, I mean, you don't have to, but if you want a more clean, polished look, then make sure that the back is as sleek and smooth as you possibly can get it. Since it's a high ponytail, it's going to basically go to just like one side rather than going backwards. I mean, it might go backwards, but still, it's going to have less hair to cover up the back of your head, if that makes any sense. Less ponytail to cover up the back of your head, since it's so all the way on the top of your head. I came across all these tutorials all at once of jumbo braids where they're so thick and gorgeous, and they're all the way on the top of their heads, and I'm obsessed. It's so cute. Before I move on to any other step, I'm going to just hairspray my hair again to just make it as smooth as I possibly can get it. I've also found if you get a spray bottle that mists just water, that it really helps set this hair in place as much as possible, and then you can go in and hairspray, but then at least it'll dry more in place and it'll be even more set. This next step is completely optional, but if you want that long, full mermaid ponytail, I highly recommend it. Get a ponytail wrap. I got this one from Irresistible Me. It's cruelty-free and it's so soft and long and gorgeous. But before we clip this in, we need to take a hair tie, especially since it's at the top of my head and it really has nothing to grab onto. We are going to just tie this off about an inch from the base hair tie. No, we have an even taller. Oh my goodness. I love this. If I got like something wrapped around here, that would be perfect. But that's if you want the short vibe. But if you don't want the short vibe, if you want the mermaid vibe, with the clip on your ponytail wrap, just take it and clip it where that hair is in between the two hair ties. Look how much fuller it looks already. I'm obsessed. Obviously, you can tell. Actually, I don't know. Clearly there's a color difference when it comes to my hair and the ponytail wrap. I mean, if I really wanted to, if it really bothered me, if I had it down and I wore it down like that, it might. But since I'm going to be braiding it and meshing everything together, it will not be noticeable. But if I really wanted to, I could easily dye this. These extensions are perfectly safe for dyeing, so you don't have to worry about the extensions being ruined or about the fact that you'll waste hair dye, because sometimes that happens on plastic hair extensions. Like, it just will not take the dye at all and you'll just like waste your money. Taking this ribbon piece, I'm going to just wrap this tightly around the base of your ponytail. You wrap it around a bunch of times. Now that the ribbon is really short, you just want to tie it. Make sure you don't knot it, because that might be a nightmare at the top of your head trying to get a knot out. So just make sure that it's tight. You can put it in a bow. Just make sure that the bow is really tight and secure. You can just leave it at this and it's automatically mermaid. Now taking a small section of the ponytail wrap, you want to wrap it around the base of your ponytail, hiding everything. You can hairspray it if you want so it stays in place and stays smooth. And just take a bobby pin, hide it within your hair, the end of that section that you just wrapped around. Now onto the braid. You want to section off a top layer and a bottom layer. Taking a small elastic, you just want to wrap it around the top layer, the top section, just a few inches from the base of your ponytail. And it's kind of hard with ponytail wraps, I've noticed, because all of them, I actually have several different ones from different brands. They all have this like hair net right here to where the hair cannot separate because that's where the hair begins. But I found with this braid, this pull-through braid, that it's not that big of an issue. Before we proceed, I just noticed that the ribbon is trying to get out. So instead of dismantling everything, I am just going to take another bobby pin, weave it through, and hide it. Now taking the bottom section that was not tied off with a small elastic, we want to separate it into 2 even sections. And we want this section, this top layer that we sectioned off with the small elastic, to be in the center of these 2 pieces. We want to take these 2 sections and just pile them and bring them together on top of this top section. Take another elastic and tie it off. I like to tie it off as closely as they possibly can be tied off together. Now you want to take the bottom layer below this section. The plant is dripping water. Hey, stop, no. Taking the bottom section that you first tied off because it turned into the bottom section, no longer the top section, you want to bring it together over this section. Well, this is really high up. You want to take another elastic and tie these 2 sections, the bottom sections, together. And again, taking the bottom layer and separating it into 2 sections, bringing it forward with the top layer that has the elastic in the middle, bringing those forward, bringing them together, grabbing an elastic, tying it off. Tie it off as closely as you possibly can because you can always loosen it, but I find that it can be harder and you can kind of ruin it if you try to tighten it. Look at this short little layer trying to peek out. If that bothers you and if that happens to you, you can always fix it later, weaving it through into the closest, the nearest elastic, or you can just take a bobby pin and hide it. After you bring the sections together and you tie them together with an elastic, you can pull them apart a bit. And as you're doing the braid, you can just tighten some elastics and then pull them through to make your hair look even thicker and longer and fuller, and just adjust everything. It's going to be pretty stiff with the more hair that you have, but I like that. It's so full. It's full of lots of life and secrets. I hope that you're getting the gist of how to do a pull-through braid. So basically, with the section that was not just elasticated by Elastic Girl, take the bottom section that's been waiting its turn, that came between those 2 sections that were just elasticed together, and you just take it, you separate them into 2, and then you take the elastic part in between those 2, and then with those 2, it's their turn to get an elastic. Did Elastic Girl get a BBL? Because I swear, I always love doing fishtail braids, but they're so time consuming. And also, I wondered how people got their fishtail braids to be so wide and full looking. Well, mine looked like all like lumped up and not like that. And if I wanted to make it wide and full looking, then a lot of pieces would be sticking out, a lot of little strands. And it was always frustrating to me. And then I figured out that the majority of those people were doing pull-through braids like this. It's so nice because if you do have shorter layers, since you're always using elastics, that everything is gathering and holding together a lot better than it would if you were doing just a regular braid without all of these elastics. Look at all those little, like, it's mostly these. The braid is not even that bad. It's mostly all of this from my head. You can stop it here or as early as you would like to stop it, or you can keep on going and make as many pull-through braid pieces as you would like. It just all depends on your preference. I'm going to tie off this last pull through. Before I finish tying the elastic, I'm going to grab this bottom layer that I guess I pulled it through, or I pulled the bottom layer through these two sections, and I'm just going to tie them off together. Then you can go in and just fix everything. It kind of got all weird right here because of the length of my hair with the layers that are already in my hair, along with the long layer of the hair wrap. It's like a big fishtail on top of my head. Once you have the braid all pulled through and widened and adjusted to how you want it, this is completely optional. You could just leave it at this and it's just fun as is. But I'm gonna go through with these little spiral, not bobby pins, because they're not bobby pins, but these little spiral pearls that I got off of Amazon. I'll link them in the description box. And since this braid is on the top of my head, I am going to do both sides of the braid because both sides are showing big time rather than it just being to the back and basically just the top is showing. Basically, you just stick it in and spin it until it's like screwed into your hair. Like Bob the Builder. I also have these bobby pin, well, they're more like pins. That worked really, really easily. It just stuck right in. But the reason why I don't want to use these pins for the actual braid itself is because I feel like the metal is going to like poke through, and I feel like that's even more messy than just a little bit of this showing, because it's literally like prongs sticking out of your braid, and I'm gonna try to stay away from that look as much as possible. You can put the pearls throughout the braid randomly, which is what I'm doing because I feel like it's more mermaid-esque, or you can do it in like a certain pattern. Maybe you can put a pearl at every single elastic that there is throughout this pull-through braid. Now, once you're happy with the placement of the pearls, you can go in and take some hairspray and just fix all the little bits that are sticking out. If there's like a big section sticking out, you can take that section and run it along the braid and then pin it with a bobby pin. And that is how you do a mermaid braid, this mermaid braid. I just love the functionality of a ponytail, especially if you can dress it up. And I also like to do a pull-through braid with like Dutch braid looking two sections. They're so fluffy and thick, but they're the pull-through braids. It looks so cool, and I bet it would be really, really cool with the pearls going through, so I'm gonna have to try that sometime. Everything that I mentioned in this video will be linked in the description box, as well as a coupon code if you want to get your hands on a ponytail wrap from Irresistible Me. It really, really completes this look, as well as it's just nice to have because you saw how much fuller and longer it made my ponytail, and it tapers off at the end, which I love. Even though I do love like a blunt cut ponytail, it's nice to have that different vibe depending on your mood and what look you want to go for that day. But it's just so fun, and I hope that this tutorial was helpful for you, helpful to you. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. And the cool thing about this hairstyle is that it can be messy and it can also be polished just depending on your preference. I feel like I say that often, but especially specifically with this hairstyle in particular, because it's mermaid inspired, it can be messy and it could also be polished, because mermaids have messy hair and it's completely acceptable because they're always in the ocean and like that's just how it's gonna be. But also they can have polished hair because they're mermaids, so like I don't know, so it just depends. So if you were going for more of a polished look and it's not as polished as you would like it to be, don't be so hard on yourself. Just, you know, cut yourself some slack because you're a mermaid after all. So now, with the bottom layer,
fast asleep with the fishes down at night.